What's cracking, people? Angelic Mayhem here! Welcome to Final Thoughts, a video series where I point out the pros and cons of a brand new video game title so that you can decide for yourself if it's right for you. In this episode, I have played 10 hours of a brand new first-person action-adventure puzzle game called Deadfall Adventures. This game is a combination of an Indiana Jones movie with a Lara Croft video game. In this series, you never have to wait for my opinion. In this case, Deadfall Adventures is incredibly sloppy in its execution. But, despite that, I found it to be challenging and lots of fun. But is it right for you? Well, let's find out. To begin, Deadfall Adventures follows around James Lee Quartermain, the great-grandson of H. Rider Haggart's noted African explorer Alan Quartermain, who is a rugged adventurer in his own right. He is hired by the beautiful archaeologist Jennifer Goodwin as she tries to beat Germany's up-and-coming Nazi party to the shattered pieces of an ancient artifact known as the Heart of Atlantis, which could potentially give the bad guys untold power. I checked the math, by the way, and it is actually possible for James Quartermain to be the old man's great-grandson. Along the way, they are constantly running into trouble as they fumble and shoehorn their way toward their goal. The game features an upgrade system based on the number of collectibles you find and boasts dozens of puzzles that require you to use your wits in order to progress in the game. It was developed by a company called the Farm 51, the same Poland-based company responsible for Painkiller, Hell and Damnation, and the 2006 title Time Ace. They also have connections to Two Worlds 2, the better of the Two Worlds franchise, and the original Witcher. So, let's talk about pros and cons. First up, the pros. Without question, my favorite part of this game is the environment. The game is beautiful, and wandering around looking for treasure is a blast, okay? There are secret passageways, pitfalls, and other interesting things that make the environment part of the game. The level designers for this game should be given awards and pots filled with roses for saving this game from mediocrity. Collectibles are objects that you pick up in almost every game in this genre, but this game makes picking up collectibles dangerous and potentially lethal in very creative ways, which fits the Quartermain ethos perfectly. Since we're on the subject, Farm 51 stepped into giant shoes when they chose to relate their protagonist to Alan Quartermain, the legendary novel character who was the inspiration for Indiana Jones. But the writers succeeded in creating a story that marries their unique and quirky plot to Haggard's original theme and style. The upgrade system is based on finding objects in the game and then, quote, selling them, close quote, for upgrades to your character. But the game is still beatable even if you never upgrade. This makes the game expansive for people who like to search the nooks and crannies and still serves people who just want to speedrun the game as fast as possible. And as for collectibles, most of them are hidden behind puzzles, so it's not good enough for you to root around looking for them. You then have to earn them by using your brain. You have a flashlight that can kill zombies. That's a little weird. But you can also use that flashlight to solve puzzles. That's a little awesome. The special effects in the game are well done and very subtle. They're never really like in your face. Things like moonbeams through holes in walls, musty fog in the tombs, and even the little puff of smoke coming off the end of your gun when you fire it sell the realism of the game. There's even little frost clouds that come from the mouths of your companions as they're speaking in cold environments. Certain paths are rigged with booby traps, and when you hit them, you kick yourself for being an idiot, but have a good laugh. You have to shoot very carefully because you will run out of bullets for your favorite gun. I assure you, you will have a favorite gun. You do have dual revolvers with unlimited bullets, but you really don't want to be going up against an army 2 cylinders at a time. Also, reload times are impressively long, making reloading your weapons a strategic part of the game. And then finally, the game is long. You're going to get probably 24 plus hours if you look around for all the side stuff, or 12 to 18 hours if you decide to speedrun it. Alright, now let's talk about the cons. My number one complaint is that no matter where you go, and behind every super hard locked puzzle door, there is a dead Nazi, proving that the Nazis found another way to get around the puzzles, so why shouldn't you? Okay? The fundamental part of the Alan Quatermain novels is that the bad guys were always one step behind, not filling the ancient temples with hundreds of empty wooden crates. You should have to puzzle your way into an area and then have to fight your way back out every time. The jump button controls everything. However, if you rekeybind it, then the jump button isn't the spacebar anymore. But the game doesn't adapt to this, leaving you in situations where you will end up dead because the instructions on the screen are now incorrect. The jump button is also the one you use to skip cutscenes, but the game doesn't tell you that either. There are numerous unpolished features in the game, but chief among them are the character animations for the girl and the doctor, which are a train wreck. She disappears at random and then reappears by your side or sometimes ahead of you, completely without any sort of reason. She and the doctor sometimes switch places for no reason at all. And the audio cues still launch even though you can't see her. So you're just listening to the wind tell you what a pig-headed moron you are. Also, even though you just left her taking cover, sometimes she teleports right behind you just after a battle with hordes of zombies, causing you to accidentally shoot her in the face. Don't worry though, all friendlies are bulletproof. This game uses a checkpoint system that's just universally bad, and some of the checkpoints are very distantly spaced, which can be a huge problem if you die. These checkpoints almost always occur before a cutscene, so you have to load and then skip the cutscene over and over again each time you die. This is a classic rookie mistake from a company that's on its third game. Sometimes when you reload while zoomed into your weapon, the game will glitch, locking you in that view, that zoomed in view, and you then have to switch weapons to get back to your normal view. Sometimes when you step on a rug, the audio that plays is the sound of a metal door being closed. These sort of audio things, this is something else that could have been found in a beta test. I find it fascinating that Quatermain can land an airplane on an unplowed runway without damage. He can also spend the night in a blizzard without freezing to death. What he can't do is sneak around the clearly defined edges of a circular death spear trap without getting shot in the face. The cutscenes are rough. They look like something out of 2006. The jaws of the characters just bob up and down, and the audio occasionally keeps going after the sprites stop moving their mouths. Also, the voice acting for the primary characters, I'm talking about him and her, are great and believable. But the supporting cast and the extras are clearly underpaid interns, okay, who have no idea anything about acting. As you're exploring the area, you will often get trapped in weird seams in the ground, between rocks or against a wall. Avoid panicking, all right? Simply look down at the ground and start smashing all the keys on your keyboard until you wriggle yourself free, all right? Works every time. The invisible walls in this game are so infuriating, it makes me want to become more like HBO's Dexter, all right? They're in the dumbest spots, and we're clearly the result of just some lazy programmer, okay? I hate these things. It was so bad. You know those phrases that NPCs kick out where you're in the middle of a firefight, and just because some nitwit at the dev thought that speaking was something that naturally happens during a firefight, if I hear, "Still think I'm a rookie, Quatermain," one more time, I'm going to get a passport and fly to Poland to kick some ass. Jennifer's eyes are red and they glow in the dark. I'm just saying, that's a little weird. This isn't Farm 51's fault, but the Nazis have an X on their arm instead of the Buddhist swastika they wore in real life. This is due to a German law outlawing the display of a swastika. I get that they're bound by law, but it's still goofy as hell. So I'm just throwing that out there. The game is filled with instances of doors closing without reason and cutscenes where James performs superhuman feats. There are also gaping holes in the plot, like, and let me give you for instance. At one point I grabbed a hook and zoomed down an exploding mine shaft, which was a cool effect, and then I ended up on the other side, out the opening. But I had both of my companions, who were behind me when I grabbed the hook. Were they also on the hook? Were they just fast runners? Where did the Nazis in the empty tunnel behind me come from? There were no doors. These are the kinds of questions that you will be facing if you take this game too seriously. Quartermain has a mystical notepad that will give you the solution to each puzzle, albeit not clearly. This is a magical pad that somehow knows everything, even when he's in a secret Russian mine. Conveniently, he also has Jack Sparrow's magical compass. Deus Ex Machina, anyone? There's a general inconsistency with this game. You can walk through some fences, but not others. You can disarm some booby traps, but not others. It's rare, but when it happens, it usually means that you have to waste 3 minutes of your life circumventing the mundane. Your inventory consists of 1 pair of handguns and 1 rifle. You can't carry 2 rifles, even though they have straps. And this is a problem because 1 shotgun, 1 rifle, and 1 sniper rifle would really come in handy in certain spots. Throughout the game, you are asked to grab hold of a rope and slide down it to get to a lower level. This is physically impossible, as the friction from the rope would rip your fingers from their sockets. Also, if the only way to get on top of a cliff where the gate was via rope, how did the Nazis get there? And why is there a gate? Did the entire platoon slide down the rope and then build a truck from scratch to drive it through the gate? Doesn't make any sense. In one cutscene, the bad guy leaves and the rope to get up is clearly still there. Okay, he doesn't get rid of it or anything like that. Your character could just have climbed up the rope to save himself the trouble of being captured by the Russians. This is one of those games where you can see that the next step is only 18 inches off the ground, but you can't just step up. You have to jump, okay? Also, if the step is 20 inches off the ground, then it's unsurmountable, and you'll have to find another way around. They need a climbing mechanic in this game to make it truly great. Okay. Bad guys will occasionally screw up, and while taking cover, end up shooting into the box they are hiding behind instead of around or over it. It's rare, but it does happen, and you notice it when it happens because the box just kind of lights up and it's real weird. Other than that, though, the AI programming seems pretty solid. And finally, Quartermain uses the word sanguinity to describe Jennifer during his dialogue, as if that's a perfectly normal word to bandy about normal everyday conversation. So, final thoughts. It's nice to get a complete package when you buy a game. And anyone with even an ounce of professionalism would test their game thoroughly before sending it out. Farm 51 as a group failed at this, but inside of that company, somewhere, are quality people who made sure that their part in the game rocked. What it lacks for in polish, this game makes up for with moxie, and when you combine that with beautiful environments and a goofy yet lovable set of characters, this game is over 30 hours of entertainment, and I think it's a blast. But is it right for you? Well, only you can decide that. Hopefully this video has helped. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I will try to answer them. In the meantime, thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button or subscribe to my YouTube channel for more content like this in the future. I'm Angelic Mayhem, and I'll see you next time.